What is up, guys? My name is Senrold, and welcome to the Techno track start to finish. Now, planning everything out, today should be the last day, the last episode for this Techno track start to finish that we have done. We made this from scratch. You guys saw the whole process of it, and hopefully along you've developed some good tips or tricks on what to do or maybe what not to do. As you guys saw, as we would create the track, we did have to fix a lot of things. We had to figure out certain elements. You know, music production for me, as I like to tell my students, it's a little bit of problem solving. You want it to sound a certain way and it doesn't. So you have to use all you have in your knowledge to bring the puzzle together to finish your track, make it sound the way that you want. And that could be as simple as switching a lead, maybe a certain effect. Maybe you didn't mix your bass as well and whatnot. Okay, so essentially what we're doing today, guys, is going to finalize everything. Last episode I ended it, and I did say I wanted my effects to kind of keep going because as you see here, it kind of dies out and we stop using them. So we're going to lay those down fast. I'm also taking the liberty before starting this video to just get everything organized. You know, we have our drums, our ARP here, we have our leads here, which are going to be the two main leads of the track, the break lead and then the drop lead. The paradox clap, which is a very kind of atmospheric clap. We also use it as a fill. We have a pad here, and then we have our kicks here, which in essence it's going to be two kicks, as you guys already know. Okay, so today we're just going to finalize a couple of things. The first thing is the effects. I just want to make sure that I'm utilizing them more here. As you guys see, I have these guys going, but towards the end of the track it kind of disappears, so we need that. So let's just hear it from this section here. That part was a bit iffy, so I might go back. I've also removed the mask, so apologize if it's too quiet. Here we're gonna add that. Okay, cool. So that's what I wanted to add there. Now, as hearing certain parts, I did kind of get a little bit like, huh, what happened there? So let's see. Let me find those parts again. All right, so that mainly, I think it's the ARP. Gonna be the cutoff as well. Let's lower that. Here, since we did like sort of the drop over here, we didn't drop it like right on the beat, but we did sort of like this kind of feel. The LFO is a little bit messed up now, so I think I'm just gonna get rid of it. And I'm just gonna have to automate the volume myself, so it's just gonna be very simple, like so. Okay, here, there's something happening that is throwing me off a bit because the volume increases tremendously on the snare fill. Okay, it's the drum, the EQ8 there. So man, that's another thing I had there. I think which also the hats should be going there as well. I have to look at the climax fill I had over here. Okay, here I'm also gonna just copy what I had over here before I entered the climax fill, because I like the way it sounds like over here. I just right there it's a bit weird, so I need to fix that. There we go. I'm gonna bring up the EQ8 there. Maybe a little sooner there. And then the volume on the snare drums, yeah, it's going too loud, so I messed up there. So let's redo that now that we know what the issue was. Okay, I like that. Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna hear it one more time through the whole song and then just pinpoint stuff that maybe I don't like to finalize. And then from there, we're just gonna be doing the master on it. And again, I apologize if it sounds too quiet compared to my voice, as right now I don't have the master on this. I took it off just so that I have a clear view of it without it being limited or compressed and all that. Okay, so the first thing is the white noise is maybe just a tad bit too loud there in the beginning, so we're gonna lower that down. Maybe like around there sounds pretty good. Maybe a little less, just so that it's not so, yeah. That shot, I like it. So let's just lower the volume down a bit on it though. Not so loud. Maybe a little less, you know, let's get rid of this automation and just pull it down. Okay, here, maybe this isn't like... Yeah. Okay, there I want to add one of the shots we had in the beginning of the song, which is going to be maybe this one. Yeah, these two right here. So in my head, I'm closing my eyes and just going with it. So that's kind of like where we're going. Bit of variation here. Okay, there I don't know exactly what happened with the pad, the ARP. It just kind of faded away like weird. So let's try fixing that. The auto pan maybe shouldn't be like so. Let's see, auto pan on that. So that's the way that looks. Okay, snare, we're gonna have to automate that now as well since we have those LFO tools turned off. Okay. Maybe those claps aren't needed there. Maybe end it on the, like maybe on the ending of that, so a high G or something. And then the delay shouldn't be that much, maybe. Okay, let's hear it again from here. I'm gonna get rid of the hat here, but still keep the going on there, just because here we really wanted to like the hat going, but then we want to create that progression that the song's kind of coming to an end. And in the reference track that I'm using, they definitely do that as well. So I'm gonna go for that instead. I'm gonna get rid of all these open hats. These aren't needed anymore. So that maybe give it like a little bit of like a delay or something, just to end it like not so abrupt, but just like a little bit. I think that would be like the way to go here, just a bit of it. Let's put it here. I think that'll be a lot better. The white noise as well, it's still heard there, but maybe just a little bit quieter once we start getting here. Just tone it down a bit. Now, the cool thing about this is that it makes a lot more room for that ARP here, because then it starts to sound a little bit cluttered. So that helps a lot in just keeping that a little bit more confined. All right, guys, and with that, we're gonna get into the mastering of this track and finish this bad boy off, okay? Now, when it comes to mastering your track, guys, first off, don't be in the mentality of like hearing everything and going like, I need to change the clap, I need to change the hats, okay? We're always gonna over obsess about those little things, you know. My thing that I like to teach people is at points you're gonna have to commit to what you have, okay? Because there's various outcomes you can have. You can switch the hats, you can switch the kick. It's gonna sound different and whatnot, but as long as your track has a cleanliness vibe, the idea is good. You have a good arrangement. The bass isn't overdone. Everything has its place in the mix. It sounds proper. You know, people will enjoy your track unless, you know, it's mixed to a point where it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's harsh to hear. Those are things you want to look out for, okay? But if there's nothing about it and you're vibing with it and you're just over obsessing over this little part of the track or like this hat, you know, don't worry about it. Just commit to it and move forward with the track, okay? You know, I promise you, if you look at a lot of techno songs that have been released, you're going to find people that will always have something to say. One might like the track. For instance, you know, I like the song The Acid by Aces. But the thing I don't like about it is the drop is weak as shit. However, that track was in Beatport's Top 100, and that's what I have to say about it, while other people might like it. Someone might be like, those hats suck, while other people might like the hat. So, you know, there's various styles of producing. There's different opinions on how something should sound like. But as long as your song sounds proper, clean, has power, can be played, it's always going to be fine. Let's just put it that way, okay? Because a lot of people obsess over like, oh, I want to sound like that guy, or I want to sound like this, and that's totally fine if that's what you're going for. You can definitely go for that, but don't over obsess about little things. I swear to God, guys, because there's going to be things in every music that you're not going to agree with, and that's the beauty of it. It's a double-edged sword. Now in the mastering phase, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very minimal master. What that means is that I'm not really going to be doing much. I'm going to be doing a bit of compression. I'm going to be using a dynamic EQ that I bought recently thanks to one of my students called Gullfoss EQ, and I'll talk about that as well. Limiting, and that's it. Okay, oh yeah, and imaging, stereo imaging, okay? So the first thing I want to do is go to the loudest part of my song, which is probably going to be in the climax here, where everything's playing, the ARP, the main lead. First thing I want to do is a bit of stereo imaging. Now, Ozone 8 Imager is going to be a multi-band one that you can use. There's very ones out there. Essentially, what I want to do with this guy is I just want to make sure my lows are lows. I want to make sure the mid-lows are a bit more centered, and I want to make sure the higher frequencies have a bit of width to them. Higher frequencies always sound better wide, while lower frequencies sound better in the center of the mix. And that's just my opinion. And there's people out there that do it differently. They have wide bass lines and stuff, and it sounds good, you know? It's to each their own. So what I'm going to do is click learn here and play it. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to check the low end. You can see we have a bit of lows that are stereo. Now, one question I get asked a lot is, yo, Sen, how do I make my track sound tight? How do I make the low end sound tight? One of the things you can do is put it in mono, okay? A stereo low end sub will never sound as tight as a mono one. Anything in mono will never sound as tight. Anything mono will always sound tighter than stereo. However, we do want a bit of stereo. But here, what I'm going to do is lower the band just to center that a bit more. That already sounds a lot tighter because the frequency is more composed. Next, mid-lows. Okay, let's hear it together. Around 19, I like it. It sounds pretty kind of good in mono, no? Alright, mid-high. Probably around there, and then the band 4 will get higher up, so that way. There we go. Now let's hear it on and off. It sounds a lot tighter already instantly. What I want you to keep out for is that dun-dun-dun sound. When it's off, you hear like a lot of the low end in the stereo. Now when we put it on, it sounds a little tighter because now, while the sound is still stereo, the low end isn't. Now, this will make stuff wider if it has stereo information. If it doesn't and it's a mono sound, it's not going to widen it unless you put the stereolyzer on, which in instance is kind of like applying the Haas effect. Sometimes you don't have to use it, but if you really feel like you need to make some shit wide in your mix, that's a good way to do it. But essentially, that's it. And the last thing is I'm also looking at pretty much our stereo image here. To the left and right, it's wide. In the center, it's centered. So we definitely want to have a little bit of both worlds. And then this guy here, which is our phase correlation. +1 means fully phase correlated. That means the left and right signals are lining up. When you use a Haas effect, you fuck that up. So notice that when it goes doo-doo-doo, it kind of goes down for a second there, but it comes back up to +1. We want that to always be at +1 on the drops. If it's a little bit below and then it comes back up, that's totally fine. However, we don't want this to be at 0 the whole way. In the breakdown, you might see this be at +1 and go down to 0 and stay around there when you implement more stereo sounds like pads and wide stuff, but that's fine as long as it's not on the drop and it sounds good in mono, of course. So with that there, we're going to put a bit here of an SSL compressor. What I want to do with this guy is I'm going to do something called catching the peaks. And essentially what I'm doing with it is to make it sound tighter is I want to kind of have the threshold set somewhere, and anytime something goes above it, it's going to get reduced in volume. Now the ratio is going to decide that for every 4 dB, 1 dB will come out, and for every 10 dB, 1 dB will come out. So stronger compression, the higher the ratio, obviously. But around 4 or 2, the ratio should be fine. I'm going to go with 4, and then I'm going to pull this maybe here. Lower the makeup gain to 0 because we don't want loudness to interfere with that. Okay, so the attack, we're going to put it at all the way down because here with this kind of compression, we're really not trying to save transients, but we're just capturing anything that might sound too loud. Okay. Here you could kind of state, oh, if something sounds too loud, why don't you just lower the volume, Sen? I can, but in essence, this is just going to do it for me. It's kind of automating volume reduction because that's what compression is at the end of the day. So we're going to pull it back there. Notice that with the dun happens, this shit kind of goes up a bit. So that could mean that that is a little bit too loud. However, that's going to fix it for me. Now, with the attack set low, the release is going to decide how long it takes for the volume to come back down after the reduction. Here, if you want to give it more sustain for sure, but essentially we just want to control volume there. So we don't want a high release value on that. So the release at 0.6, I don't want it too fast because then it can cause some clipping or some sound, like a very sound because it moves down fast, the volume. And around there, it sounds pretty fine, I believe. Okay, right there is going to be a little bit better because at 0.1 you can kind of hear the gain reduction a bit. But here it's kind of not that much because we're allowing the transient of that lead to come through a bit. Let's try 0.2. Okay, so we just want that needle moving here and there, not all the time because then you're just overdoing the catching the peaks technique on that one. All right, so once we have that, we're going to move on to a bit of multi-band compression. Now, my goal with the multi-band is going to be to hear the low end and make it sound as tight as possible, okay? Now, what I mean by this is if we hear this right now off, now we're reducing a bit. It's sounding tighter because we're making that kick mesh with the sub a bit more. Of course, we don't want to lose too much volume there, so we are going to make up a bit so it's revolving around 0 more. I also don't want it to be so jumpy and bouncy, so the release is not going to be like this because we get a lot of bounce. Fast release. So a little bit more sustained, the low end. We want that there. Let's put a bit of attack so we still have that punch. Because if I do this, we lose a bit of that punch. Well, let's hear it together. We're going to do a little bit on the highs and also on the lead in the center here, which is going to be the dun happens around here, I believe. And once we have this, there I was just playing with the attack and release values. And now we're going to put our last limiter here. And this is going to be the stealth limiter. Now with the stealth, we're just literally going to push the input and go between different modes to see which one we like. We're going to use span just to see how everything looks. And from there, we're going to fine tune our parameters a bit. As I finish this up, I am going to go to the other things, but I do want to add this thing called the Gullfoss EQ. Now, the Gullfoss is more of a cheating tool, but I don't consider it that. It's more of a dynamic EQ. In essence, what it promises to do is it promises to clean up your track. I really like it because there's points in the track where a high-end boost will help add more air and more atmosphere to the track. And I wouldn't like to automate all that shit myself. Let's just put it that way. For instance, I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to increase the tame. If I take it off, you hear the difference. It just like opens up the mix a bit. It's a dynamic EQ. And with tame, it's just going to add and it's going to remove frequencies here. So check. We're removing a bit of lows and adding a bit of highs there. Okay. We're going to put a bit of recover like around 10%. Which is going to add frequencies it thinks the track needs. With tame, you're just reducing and also adding. It's taming, let's say, dirtiness, shit like that. So you're going to see this move a lot as we move along this. So let's hear how it sounds like, and we'll choose whether we keep it or not. definitely, I like the Mortal Kombat voice. Oh my god. As I was hearing the song, I felt like I heard the highs, this ride would stop, and I'd be like, what? And then it would come back in. So I need to fix that, and that's just a simple fix. It's just that the loop we used for this ends, and then you have this little gap here. So all I have to do is just Control B, copy this, and then Control D, Control D, Control D all the way on it, and just do it like that. Just so that we get all of it. Okay, guys, so the other thing I needed to fix were these little mistakes here on the sustain of the lead. It stayed up throughout some parts of the song, which didn't need to, so we got rid of those. As well as the cutoff just made it be a little bit more concise, so everything is almost at the same on the drops. Here, for instance, here, watch. This is at 0.45, which gives us a there, but we want this like around 580. So if I put the song here, we want to make sure this is like around 580, okay? So I just got to fix those little automation errors that we have there. That's why it's very important sometimes to be clean about this stuff. So I'm just going to hold Alt, hold Shift maybe, and pull up or Control and put it like, there we go, 530. So, because before it was lower, so it sounded a little muddy because it didn't have the high. So we're fixing that. There we go. And then here it goes to where it needs. Now it's back where it needs to be, okay? All right, guys, and with that being done, this is all I have to say to end it. Once you're done with the song, you know, do what you want to do with it. Come back to it a month later, maybe a few weeks down the line. Hear it, and then just check it out. Write down notes. Be like, I could have done this better. Or I could have done this with the arrangement better. and learn from it. That's the important thing. Now, I do have a sample pack coming out at the end of this month, I want to say, that I'm working on with Julian Earl. I have to finish some of the presets up in it, which might be for Silent One or Serum. We'll see. But some of the sounds in this pack or in this track are all going to be from there. The kicks, the hats, some of them, I believe, most of them are from there, except for like the exception of a ride. So make sure to check it out, guys, if you want to support the channel. But with that being said, you guys take care. Hope you guys learned some few things, and peace out.